Good morning or good evening depending on the time you're watching this. This is the Targeted Justice 2025 year in review, where our board members and advisory board members and officials come in to tell you, our membership, and tell all of us what have we accomplished, what have we faced as challenges, and what are our goals for this coming year. And we're just delighted because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The hard work is paying off, and this is no time to stop. It's only the time to feel more encouraged and more fueled by the desire for freedom from this horrific unacknowledged special access program. This is Dr. Len Baer's presentation for his year in review.
Hello, I'm Dr. Len Baer, a medical director and a board member for Targeted Justice, and I'm here to talk about accomplishments in 2025. Civilian Registry for Diagnosed Havana Syndrome patients, established in August 2024, has had 2 updates so far. One was issued in January 2025 at the beginning of the year, and the most recent one is dated in January 2026, is available now. The number of verified diagnosed patients increased from 7 to 14. And here on the chart, you can see where these cases are geographically located. The difference in color represents that the purple states had new verified diagnosed cases since January 2025, with the highest number per state was Florida, 5 verified cases, and New York, 2. And the rest of the cases had 1 verified case. In addition to Civilian Registry, we have initiated 2 formal petitions to health agencies in the United States. One is to CDC and another one to NIH. Both petitions were delivered to the agencies in October of last year. One agency responded that Havana syndrome is out of scope for CDC, with no answer from the NIH. In addition to these formal petitions, there's a public-facing petition. As of now, this publicly faced petition has over 1,100 signatures. Another accomplishment in 2025 was publishing articles on the topic of Havana syndrome in peer-reviewed journals, which is important for the credibility. One was published in February 2025, helping a physician to understand Havana syndrome, which phrases it as non-kinetic brain injury. In November 25, a preprint of reanalysis of MRI findings in the NIH study in Havana syndrome was available, and the final publication should be available within days, if not already. The second study is important because it overrides the official findings of the NIH neuroimaging study and strengthen the evidence that AHI-1 represents a genuine diffuse brain injury syndrome. And finally, strategy for the next year. We're in 2026 now. We will continue persuading CDC and NIH to engage with evidence of U.S. civilians diagnosed with Havana syndrome and AHI. And if so, and if needed, we will force their engagement with inquiries and pressure from lawmakers, from the Congress. Second strategic goal is maintain and continue verify data collection for Civilian Registry until federal response is in place and the registry is available through health agencies' efforts. And finally, to advocate for CDC to issue case definitions for civilians and diagnostic guidance for physicians and patients, essentially dismantling false no MRI injury narrative and separating diagnostic effort from attribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Not at this point, maybe during the Q&As. Thank you.
Okay, so let's continue with the order. Betsy, would you like to go next?
I just started. Became an officer in December. So, working with Jill closely, we as a volunteer, we researched Trump's inner circle and kind of facilitated that move when he got elected through 2023 into 2020 or 24 into 2025. Researched the newly appointed elected officials, set up DC appointments for your trip in May, and then traveled to DC in September for the rally. We met with our representative from the state of Nebraska while there, and so got an appointment and a relationship at least started there. And like I had already said, appointed vice president of government relations in December. So that really is a basic review of 2025 for me. I think like everybody else, this goes without saying. The challenges were hacking, getting used to the software programs, just getting used to the politics in itself, finding and trying to weed out the bad actors for volunteers. There are a lot of kind of grenades that were thrown volunteer wise, so that and time restraints, but all learning experiences and very very important to kind of go through that. So I'm grateful for those, even though not at the time seeming very fun, but I guess that's what comes with the job. So for 2026, it looks like I would like to focus on networking with like-minded organizations in the civil rights sector, human rights organizations for Anna to, get some allies in DC. So setting up appointments with those organizations, also along with media outlets, just to build that communication and have that narrative talked about more and more. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of things that come up as, all of the day-to-day news changes. So just prepared to be ready for anything, I guess, at this point. So yeah, grateful to be here. I think that's all I've got.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you. Are you going to do Jill's too?
I'm having computer issues, everyone. That's why I can't do my own. And Betsy is saving my bacon. Thank you, Bets.
Completely understand.
You see it?
Hi, I'm Jill. Do you want to introduce me?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jill. Go ahead.
I've been working as the Vice President of Government Outreach for the last year and about a month. So for our annual review, some of the accomplishments, I became a digital warrior in November of 2024, which was brilliant timing because it helped me in my job completely, identifying people who are like-minded to us in the government and people we could contact and send information to. That was hugely useful, and also build online relationships with them, which helps when you meet them in person. Let's see, in January, we did a big mailing to committees, the Senate and House Intelligence Committees, to tell them what's going on. We are not entirely sure they ever received those mailings from what we've heard, but we did get that done. And also we were identifying government people who were champions of the First Amendment. That's one of the first things that we looked for, because they would be open to talking with us. I helped Anna with some legal paperwork, just editing, proofreading what she'd written, which was always brilliant and such a thrill to work on. I loved it. And then I worked on Jason Lee's book, Victim, Survivor, Warrior, which is also brilliant. And if you haven't read it yet, you should. It's so helpful. I went to DC in May and tried to set appointments before and when we were there, which was frustrating, and we were stonewalled a lot, but we did drop off a lot of materials and meet a lot of people. I went back to DC in September, and Anna and I went to the Nebraska breakfast, which is a tradition that they do where every representative of Nebraska is in one room and you get to socialize with them. So we got to stand up and say what we were doing in DC, and it was very useful. Right now, I'm helping some people with Privacy Act requirements or requests, just people who didn't have time or weren't comfortable with doing the computer stuff. Interestingly enough, someone sent me something on December 12th, and I got it in the mail today. So we've had a lot of interference. A lot of mail's been stolen. My materials online have been deleted 4 times. So we think this is really an important thing. So if you haven't done yours yet, do it, whether you ask me for help or not. And then I created a media list of 250 contacts. Still working on that. Just trying to make notes of if they've done interviews with people like us before, or if they're open to interviews with us. Okay, Bets, you can go to the challenges. It's going to look a lot like Betsy's. So, hacking and stolen notes. So I get a lot of break-ins. So if they aren't hacking, they're breaking in and stealing things that we're keeping track of. So for instance, I was keeping information in a spreadsheet of congressmen and senators who could be useful to us and notes on them. And I would open it and it would look fine, but key people would be missing or their contact information would be changed. So we dealt with that all year, and it got progressively worse. Phone calls, emails intercepted, sent elsewhere. So that was challenging. I vetted 22 volunteers. I hired 9. I lost 7. So I would assign a project to a volunteer and they would agree to it and be excited about it, and then they'd disappear. So not only would the work not get done, but we would lose 3 or 4 weeks waiting for them to do the work. So that was difficult because everything we did was time sensitive. The 2 that were left did stellar work. One kind of retired after doing a really good job, and the other is Betsy, who's taking over the government relations now. So I'm very grateful for those 2. They got me through the year. The other thing is, I've had COVID 5 times since August 2024. Before that, never. So, and it tends to happen strategically around certain times. While this Privacy Act request work has been going on, I've gotten it 3 times. And that's in the last 6 weeks. So, very strange. How about plans, Bets? Okay, I plan to continue to build relationships with J6ers. I believe that they have a strong voice in DC, and I think they are exactly like us. They just aren't sure about that yet. They know parts of it, but they don't know it all. If you watched Anna's live stream from the march this week, you'll see they're starting to understand, but they don't know it all yet, and that's crucial. I want to be a support wherever I'm needed. I will help with prepping for Targeted Action 2026. I plan to go to DC at some point to help Anna whenever she needs me. And we are starting a faith outreach, and we plan to do a symposium. And then hopefully we'll record, and then we can send it to individual pastors or priests or rabbis or whoever to inform them about what's happening and give them tools to help them recognize when one of their parishioners is going through this, and tools to help. And that's it.
Thank you, Miss Jill. Thank you so much. Okay, so who wants to go next?
I'll go next if that's okay with you guys.
Okay.
Hi guys, I'm Lindsay. I am the VP of PR and Communications for Targeted Justice. And hold on one second here. I'm sharing my screen. All right, let's go here. I was having some issues with my with some PowerPoint with my slides, so I hope you guys don't mind. It's in Word. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry.
okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So in 2025, I we have a team of 10 women. Our team was a little bit different because we're geared towards PR communications and working on those projects. However, it's also, we're hosting the Victory Through V2K call. So we're kind of working on kind of like a double purpose, if you will. So we kept, after Melody left, we kept bi-weekly brainstorming and support team meetings. We kept our Victory Through V2K call going strong with numerous guests, including Richard, Melissa from Chosen Heroes, Armando, and many others. And also we were all kind of on each other's calls, and DJ Chris worked with Melissa, was on her call in Chosen Heroes. Tranquility doing the newsletter, she did a wonderful job. And she also began doing some marketing and other promotions based on her experience running TI events. She began to create some short form video advertisements under 2 minutes. And we're using those for awareness and outreach. And then over in about June, Rose took over. She is my PR specialist. She does this for a living. She took over as V2K host in June, so I could begin focusing more on PR communications, and then just kind of like many of you said, trying to do a public service announcement project, like Jill mentioned. I recruited a lot of these women, and then not only did the work not get done, unfortunately, sometimes people came in and it kind of disrupted the whole balance, if you will, and then we had to start over from scratch.
Okay, so then let's see, who wants to go next? Chris, do you want to go now?
Yes. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Greetings to everyone here at Targeted Justice and all the targeted individuals within the community that we stand upon. I am an officer of South Africa and the Middle East. And as a contact for targeted individuals, I have attended conference calls with other countries, provinces, and helped spread the message of tactics, healing, and the ability to ignore the V2K and stand within a neutral perimeter within the targeted community. I attended the rally in DC on September 4th, and I was able to meet with a constituent in the Senator Moran's office. During the month of September 4th, I was able to meet with a constituent there and began everyday digital warrior campaigns after that. And I was able to make contact with Jim Hoft back in April. This is all before the rally started. But when I started this, he was a writer and a journalist for Gateway Pundit. This helped every day expose how the DHS and the FBI were corrupt in their efforts of targeted justice, and everything was being intercepted at the time. The letter was addressed to Secretary Noam, to and Attorney Anna Toledo, and also went along with the publishing. There are currently over 300 comments on Gateway Pundit's original article, which is cool to kind of scroll through if you're ever on Gateway Pundit to look at all the comments on that article. It's pretty interesting. I've also enjoyed the year to communicate with 6 South African TIs and 14 Middle East. I've attended a lot of overseas communications through at WhatsApp. It's for international communication without international charges. So this year was a year of learning the tactics of organized stalking and how these operations take place in my life. I also attended the Chosen Heroes and had the opportunity to tell my testimony to everyone. I had a job change. I went 3 months on unemployment, and I found it difficult this time to get reemployment due to applying at over 30 different businesses to no avail. I have maintained a part-time job at UPS. So I'm finishing the year off on a positive note. A new job opportunities coming up January 20th at Panasonic, and I'll be building electrodes for these internal hybrid batteries. Never done it before, but I'm going to be in there doing it and learning how to do it. So I plan on more exercise this year, maintaining a helping hand in the targeted community, and keeping a rigid adherence to helping expose and shut down the USAP programs. I want to thank the advisory board for all they have done with research, emails, and keeping a close heart to humanity. As an officer, I am thankful for the doctors and members' advice and attention to detail. I want to thank everybody and Happy New Year. I think we've been united together this last year, and we've made it this far. So I only see good things coming for this year to come. And we've got really good support coming too. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, I have to say that, since all our accounts are so monitored, you sneaked in and you were able to publish that, and that was a huge advancement in the awareness campaign. That is, once we expose this criminal program, it has to shut down, because it cannot work unless it's in the shadows. Anybody else wants to go next? Harold. Oh,
we try it again.
Let's try
time.
Harold, and then we go to Juliet. Yeah.
But yeah, I still don't see the presentation, so maybe I just read it, if that's okay for you
fine.
guys.
That's
I
perfect.
just read it,
Yeah.
because I see it here on my computer, but I don't see it in the Zoom app, in the Zoom software. So it's a pity, because I put some time in it, not too much, but I wanted to show it, of course, because if you give some time to something. Okay, so I will read it. This is my short presentation about the last year and how I became a TI officer. The TI officer for Europe, so I'm the contact person for targeted justice. The board of Targeted Justice asked me last year if, after they saw a podcast about gang stalking, and they asked me if I want to become an officer for Targeted Justice, and so I agreed. And this is the short story of the last year. It started, like I said, in October 23. The podcast, the name was Im Auge des Sturms. It's a German name for a German podcast. And the concept was, it's a kind of live show with interviews, with news about the TI scene, with guests and so on. And I had some guests, many from Germany, but also some from the US or from other countries. All of them have been TIs or are still TIs. And that was the podcast. And after that, I became the officer for Targeted Justice for Europe. And in the beginning, I thought the show was pretty successful. It was new in the TI scene, so many people were watching. and also the German guests and international guests. And I also had Len Baer as a guest, and Richard Lighthouse was one of the guests. And I think these shows were very, very good and very interesting, and are still worth to see until today. But after some time, it was more and more difficult to find guests who wanted to come to the show, who wanted to talk about the TI stuff, about their TI story. It became more and more difficult. And so I couldn't find any guests anymore, at least not from Germany. And there was also not enough news in the TI scene to talk about every week. So finally I decided to stop the show, to end the show. And what are my activities right now? Right now, I'm sending a lot of emails to journalists, to some media outlets like alternative media, news websites. Also, I wrote to some lawyers, to big accounts on social media, on X, for example, etc. And I see my work right now, or this is at least what I want to do in the future. I want to do a lot of short videos for social media, for X, for TikTok, and so on. Because I think that's a good thing. Many people are watching these short videos. It takes maybe 1 minute or so, and you can reach a lot of people with these short videos. So I want to do this in the future. And also I'm searching for people who are willing to work together and willing to contact people, like sending emails and so on, or talking to people is also one thing that everybody can do. And I'm searching for people who are not afraid to talk about the program and to talk about their TI stories. Yeah, it's important. And also I'm searching for people who have ideas and who want to show some initiative. Yeah, it's also important to show some initiative. I want to say some words about how to get out of the program, in my opinion. There are two ways. One way is by help from other people from outside. And the other way is by proving the crime with evidence in a lawsuit, for example. Both ways are very difficult because the judges, the lawyers will do everything to block the truth so that it doesn't come out. And the media is also controlled by agencies like CIA, FBI, and whatever. And also in the other countries, it's the same, also in Germany. And also most of the politicians are also controlled as well. That's a big problem. So the public is unaware of the situation and is also misinformed by the media because the media is lying, it doesn't tell the truth, and so on. So what is the solution? In my opinion, it could be the solution to reach the alternative media, because in many cases, the alternative media reports on something and then it gets big, and then the mainstream media picks it up and also starts reporting on it. So in many cases, it starts with the alternative media. And when the topic gets too big, maybe they don't want to talk about it. But when the topic gets too big, they have to talk about it because otherwise they lose their face. And this is one thing they don't want to do. So we are on the end of the presentation. One last thing, I made a picture, but I cannot show it. That's really it's really sad because it shows a circle, which is the TI scene, which stands for the TI scene, and there are arrows going inside, red arrows, and these are 99% of the TIs. Their activities are staying inside of this circle. They are talking to each other, they are communicating, and so on, but nothing goes to the outside. And there is 1%, these are 4 green arrows, you don't see it. 1% is the people, they are working outside. The activity is going outside, and this is only 1% of the TIs who are really doing things that are getting outside of the TI community. And this is important to do things that go outside of the community, because if you only talk to the community, maybe it helps you, maybe you feel better, but it will not be the solution of the problem. Nothing will change. If you only talk to other TIs and you don't talk to strangers, to the world outside, nothing will change. So yeah, please go outside, talk to people outside, and don't talk only to other TIs or to the scene. And this is the end. No, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's a great mission, Harold, because that's exactly, we are in a silos. We're talking to each other, and what we need to do is percolate outside of this membrane, which comprises our community. That is the only way we will attain exposure, and most importantly, which, you know, what I say to people is, when you do move outside of this bubble, is don't go into the fantastical, like the really hardcore stuff, because that's not the way to let people slowly sneak into our world and find out about it. Because it scares people when you start talking about like the really outrageous things that our government is doing to us. Anyways, let's go with, thank you, Harold, so much. Let's go with Juliet.
Okay. I joined as a member of the Board of Advisors this year, and I'd followed you for quite a while and was very impressed with what you've been doing. I was born into the MK Ultra program, which was started in the United States after World War II with the influx of Nazi criminal material from the concentration camps after the war. MK Ultra was officially started I was born in 1949. The MK Ultra program was started in 1953. My uncle was the founder of the NSA. And so like many of the children from the high-level officials that were involved in the early years of the CIA, they put me in the program. So I grew up inside the MK Ultra program, and in many ways, I believe that's the origin of the government programs in terms of getting money, getting safe houses, creating DARPA. DARPA came from that, using LSD and other psychotropic drugs to target individuals, all came out of the post-war MK Ultra program, which includes massive amounts of LSD that was used. They obtained it by the ton, and it was used on American children, both the children of the leaders who were groomed to become the future leaders, and just to see what would happen with everybody else. And that led to the creation of Prozac, which is an LSD derivative. And their goal was to create the largest addicted population they could in the United States of people who couldn't think. So we've got that now. I won't go into all this. I talked about this for hours. I did an great interview with Jeff, but I wanted to show you something, because there was something very significant that happened this year in terms of all MK Ultra program survivors, and it's something to look for larger, greater penetration of that program. Okay, let's see if I can share. Yes, here it is. Okay, in December of 2024, the CIA released 1,200 documents, and in it, they admitted that, yes, there was an MK Ultra program. It started in 1953, which I could have told them, and it explains that the experiments they were doing with LSD, how they were obtaining the LSD. It talks about the origin of Project Monarch, which is the project that I was put into for 11 years, and states that it was put together by Sidney Gottlieb, and explains his background. He was the head of technical services for the CIA when it was founded, and then he became the head of MK Ultra, and he had been the head of technical services and was known as the head poisoner of the CIA. So his background was bioweapons used to target the population, and his specific specialty was mRNA. And he had concluded that it was no good for vaccines and had no beneficial purpose other than a extremely useful bioweapon for targeting individuals. So this is the first batch of documents. I'll send the link. I know it's been sent out to y'all before, but there's a 40-page explanation of what's in here, and then you can link to thousands of documents. This was a real revolutionary change, and they snuck it through in December when nobody was looking. And what this has allowed survivors of MK Ultra programs and the variety of targeting programs that's been used on our population is starting to bubble to the surface. And groups have been forming around the United States of survivors who are tackling what's happened to them, how to get help for their issues that they're left with, which are severe physical and mental issues, including V2K, because that was programmed into people starting in the 1960s. So that in my era, it was all psychic communication, but very real. But then they developed a technology to start doing the V2K, and it came out of this. So in October of 2025, they released a second batch of documents where they go into much more detail. They talk amongst each other about, well, let's try this and let's try that. And gee, wasn't that party fun, you know? It just shows the horrible evilness of these people and how to them we are nothing but toys to play with. And that's the way we were treated. And the goal was always to create a population that was pliable, didn't have any original thoughts, and couldn't fight back. So this is where we are. But I have not looked deeply into the National Security Archives, but somebody should, because there may well be. They release these quietly, and you can barely find out about them, but they're constantly releasing documents, and it'd be worth it to find more on their targeted programs and what they created. But because DARPA came right out of MK Ultra, and then got put into the security level, 17 levels above the president. So that's why congressmen won't even talk about it. So anyway, this is what I've been working on. I've been working with MK Ultra survivors and gathering information on their targeting and what kind of programs they went through. But it's very much a part of the targeted justice family of issues. So that's it.
Thank you, Juliet. We are honored to have you join our board. It's a real honor because you are one of those warriors that proves that we can survive the most horrific harm perpetrated on anyone.
Yeah, I'm almost 77, so I'm an oldie, which is, I think, my value, because I've got an overview that's almost a century long of what they've been doing from when it didn't exist to now, where it's pervasive and it's invading every aspect of our lives and has a potential of destroying our population. So
yeah, and you carry yourself with so much dignity, so that when anybody tells me that, I can't stand it, I just point the finger at you and say, if she has survived it, so can you. It's a matter of determination and mustering. It's making the decision of being courageous and fighting back. So thank you so much. Who would be the next person? There, Valdemir, go. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Valdemir from Brazil. I joined Target Justice in 2023 after the invitation of Lambert. We had met each other on an ICATOR meeting in online in Brussels, and then he invited, and at the beginning, I was a little bit scared. I thought, well, maybe it's a bit too much for me take the responsibility in South America, and then knowing what we know about what's going on here since the 60s with the Contra CIA operations, 80,000 people dead, the revolutionaries against CIA here. So we know we take risks that are not that easy, but I had to go beyond that. I thought that definitely I had to do that. And I'm glad that I did because you guys are just a second family. And after 1 year, Richard invited me for a VP Latam, right, Latin America. So I'm gonna go now a bit on these slides to show how it's going. So hopefully you guys can see a bit of the sharing, or maybe let's see. Oh, no wonder they deleted, but I think I'm gonna read through, right? I'm gonna read through the articles. Sorry, apologize. It was already open here, but no surprise that they managed to stop me from sharing. I'm gonna read through. So accomplishments in 2025, the podcast is continued. That's one of the major aspects that Richard has asked me to do. So in one particular week this year, the podcast has reached 26,000 impressions with 7% click-through ratio. So just in 1 week alone. So the podcast was going very well, with increasing steadily viewership, but no surprise that has led to severe interruptions and hacking and deletion of all key indicators on Google Workplace. They simply hacked all my systems and they stopped me from coming forward. I had managed to produce not much, but every time I produce a podcast, it was quite good in terms of viewership, compliments, people engagement, and in some way, or some shape or form, they managed to stop me from coming forward from the last 6 months. Every time I build up a presentation, they delete it, they hack it, they add some phishing that slow down the operation, so it's very difficult to come and keep the same pace. But in a sense, with the local campaign, like a guerrilla marketing, I kind of use a T-shirt from Target Justice, many of them I have here with logos, and I go every day on the streets, every day I'm out with the leaflets, spreading all the information. So academic campus, cafes, restaurants, public places. So when I noticed they try to isolate me on online, I decided to go full blow on the screens on the streets, right? And that's where I end up recently. After that, also I had the support of all TIs via remote conversations and exchange of tips and ideas. I've been helping a lot of managed TIs who are struggling, really, to be honest. Many of them are really going through a hard time. Many of them has no idea how to cope, and some of these people are in despair. So I think in a way I've managed to really get a good level of contribution, make them aware about the technology, how to cope, what's going on, how it works. So in a way, I think that was a good thing. In terms of challenge, the hacking interference of communication systems was severe and incapacitating. So I really became quite dysfunctional in the second semester. Looks like I was scaring some people. So the organized stalking will really escalate to unprecedented levels. Was absolutely incredible. The sheer number of people involved in the stalking, including law enforcement personnel. At the same time, I also managed to denounce the crimes to police officers, local authorities, local attorneys, public attorneys. So in a sense, I made the situation very aware for the people, and the community are more engaged, are more united, albeit the country is very big, so it's difficult to get together as a group, as a united group. Unfortunately, the direct energy weapons increased with some attacks on my eyes, deteriorated very seriously. And it was when I started thinking options that staying here wouldn't be that safe as I thought. I thought at the beginning, okay, the guys are going only with V2K and the stalking, but now they're starting really getting on DEY, and I thought maybe I should take a break and try to see some options in safer places, right? I suffer a lot of character assassination, break-ins in the houses every single week, 3 times a week. Incredible, the kind of things they stole, even socks. They managed to get socks stolen just to make me nuts. And property damage, right? Vehicles, they crashed 2 of my cars, one car and the other, they really damaged a brand new car. So a lot of things going on actually here. Uh, Still, just checking. I lost you guys here. Can you hear me? Still, everybody's all right? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we can. We need you to wrap it up because it's supposed
Yeah.
to be like 6 minutes.
Yeah, going to the final one. On a personal note, I'm planning to go for a sabbatical abroad soon in order to pursue a master in political science as a way to escape a bit from this harassment here and trying to do from the outskirts, right? At some point, I will need to step back as a VP Latin. Unfortunately, that is just not really what I wish, but it's necessary at this stage of the situation here. I enrolled to a law degree university in Brazil with an attempt to help people legally here, but I was severely stalked, and the hacking of the university account led me to just stop the study. So depending on the progress and adaptation abroad, now I'm moving east now. The possibility of returning to Brazil will tend to be a little bit lower over time, but by no means I will definitely stop or something. It's just a question of avoiding conflict of interest or avoiding problems with target justice that I need to step back for now and perhaps come back in the future, see if you guys need. Hopefully, in the future, there's no need for. But I see the future of Target Justice as a necessary organization, even after closing the Target Justice, the Target Individual Program, as a watchdog for what's coming in the future. Hopefully, never come again. But anyway, that's for me.
Thank you, Valdemir. Well, that is correct. I think that targeted justice real work will start when we expose and shut down this program, because that is when all these people are going to come to us as experts to see how we can start making whole all those people that have been harmed so horrifically. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to just do my presentation real quick and then allow the Lighthouse. Is there any other presentation that I'm missing here? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to share my presentation. Fortunately, it's still there. So, well, this beautiful logo was made by Ortain, who is an amazing contributor. Even though he lives in anonymity, he does most of a lot of the artwork that we use. And this one happened as you will see here in the accomplishments. As many of you know, on March 5th, 2025, the criminals managed to bring down the Targeted Justice website. And many people that have taken for granted our website as a source of, validation, all of a sudden, the community everybody was lost. So we not only acquired targetedjustice.org as an alternative mechanism, but I took it upon myself to rebuild the website. And before the 30 days had elapsed, I think I worked something like, I don't know how many hours, from a Friday night, barely sleeping, all the way to a Sunday night. And I was able to, begin with, I guess it was 7 pages or something like that. And this just, we have a new organized website, plus we have in the archive the old website as a resource. And I wish I could upload more stuff, but like all of you have said, it's very hard to get volunteers, and particularly people, because since this is a very sensitive thing with the server and everything, well, I pretty much put the work into it. But I'm really proud of that. Also, I'm very proud that in May of 2025 I started the Gavel, not only to continue to inform the community about the most important, the most relevant events that are happening that will lead to our freedom from modern day slavery, but also to be encouraging to those people that feel hopeless, because when they realize the facts and the events that are really happening, that's when it's not just about emotion, it's about feeling encouraged for the future, which is what we should all work for. We had 2 trips to Washington, D.C., one in May and one in September, Targeted Action 2025. And that is exactly what placed in my heart the next accomplishment, which is, Analog Anna went to Washington. And I am here not only trying to pierce the stone walls that prevent us from, like Jill said, we sent communications, we sent mailings, but the way we see it, they never got them. So it is only in person they cannot hack us. When they see, like many of you already know, we accomplished a meeting with Representative Ellie Crane, and one of the things that I said to him was, they're going to tell you I'm a criminal and I'm a terrorist. And he said, no, I've looked into your eyes and I know you're not. And I see you're passionate about this, so I know you're not lying, So even though, things take a long time to happen, it's about planting seeds and networking, like Jill said. And that's why I'm here working 7 days a week in the most amazing mission that God has placed in my heart. And I feel completely honored to be doing it. So regarding the challenges, well, as many of you know, we filed FOIA lawsuits. They were all denied because at that time, the FBI, we had not had the exposure by Chuck Grassley about the prohibited access and restricted access files. So they answered, the central record systems, there's no evidence of this. So we had the Southern District of Texas cases dismissed. Things are changing now, and will have to change given the exposure, the disclosures, the declassification of documents at a congressional level. We also, and that's what we're looking forward to. The slander has been off the charts, and the way I see it is the only reason why we have been attacked with so much slander from so many people is because the criminals are really nervous that we are accomplishing our mission of exposure. Censorship, we know social media, all of our posts are severely shadow banned and demoted, and it's just, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Even if I get to be the first comment on an account, on a post that has 500,000 views, my comment only has 200 views. How does that, you explain that? Only because I believe that the FBI criminals are still hacking and controlling X and other social media. The same with the obstruction. My email requests to make appointments with people, they get intercepted. That is why I'm walking in there in person and asking, at least letting them know who I am. Also, this website takedown was a huge challenge, but not one that we couldn't overcome. And I just put in the hundreds of hours, and I continue to put them, because if there is one thing I realized is that it is an important support for the entire community. And so what, I made this image here because we got attacks from everywhere, even people, mind control people in our own community calling us FBI. Imagine, I'm the only person that calls them criminals every day. Well, no, the Lighthouse too. But anyways, so what I just thought about is what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. All the lawfare, all the censorship, the website takedown, it has made us into stronger warriors. And that is what we need to become in order to shut these criminals down. Now, in terms of plan, well, we continue with a plan of exposure. Like Jill, I have been attacked and I'm still suffering with COVID and flu or whatever it is many times, but that does not stop me. I continue moving forward. Number one is exposure at a congressional level. I've already had a couple of meetings with important people in there, and I'm going to continue insisting until they get tired of me requesting them. The same with the media outreach that is, in the works. An important initiative that I hope that Jill is helping people with is the Privacy Act. Every single person should have sent their Privacy Act, because with the disclosures by Chuck Grassley about the prohibited access and the restricted access files at the FBI, and now with the exposure of Christine Crowder, who is a completely innocent person that was placed in Handling Code 3 of the Terry Screening Database, those documents out there, and the exposure of the times that they surveyed Tulsi in TSA, with that information out there, there is no reason that no one should not be doing. Everybody has to be doing their Privacy Act request. We will be knocking on government agencies' doors, not just CDC, not just NIH, but also HHS and FDA regarding the illegal implanting of people. I'm going to continue the networking. Just last week, I went to the J6 March and met really amazing people and made really good contacts. The point is them meeting me so that when the criminals tell them she's a criminal, they know, no, I met her. I know she's not. Expanding to Latin America, even though it is sad that Valdemir is going to take another route that his heart tells him that he should follow, we have a very passionate and hardworking volunteer in Argentina who is Javier Dadan, and he is unstoppable. So I really believe that we will be able to expand. We're going to have once a month, the last Saturday of each month, we're going to have a podcast with the Latin American people. And most important, the faith community development. Like Jill said, we really need to expand our efforts to let the ministers, the pastors, the priests, that they have a duty not only to save souls, but most importantly, to be of help to their communities. And if they don't know about these technologies, well, they can't help, because they are going to think, they all think it's witchcraft. So we need to really work on expanding on those realms. And that is all. I mean, there is so much more, but that's basically all that I had to share with you. And I leave Mr. Lighthouse. You're in charge now.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I keep getting low network bandwidth and unstable connection, and then my screen goes blank. So I've had to restart a number of times. But I want to thank everybody that joined tonight. For our audience out there, we're going to edit this. We're going to make it available on a number of platforms where you can comment. We're also going to be posting it on our newsletter where you can comment and ask questions, and we will try to get you some answers. So if you've got comments and concerns, especially about our plans for 2026, this is a good time to bring it up. So there'll be a number of platforms where you can do that. And again, we'll try to respond where we can. Otherwise, you can reach us at tjustice2@proton.me. We continue to be fogged, unfortunately, for emails, but we'll try to get an answer if you're patient. So again, thank you to everyone that joined, and we welcome your feedback. Thank you to our advisory board and our officers for an outstanding year in 2025. And we're really expecting some big things here in 2026. So thank you to everyone. Please forward and share this.
Excuse me, Lighthouse, are you gonna open for questions? Anybody have questions?
If you don't mind, I wouldn't mind making a couple comments. I don't have a presentation.
Yeah, go. Yeah, welcome, Sarah.
Hey, how are you? I've just been listening. Hey, first of all, I want to say that you guys are doing a great job. I know you're all volunteers and it's hard, and being a volunteer and doing this without any pay and then getting insulted all the time and attacked, that's hard in any kind of volunteer position. So you should be proud of yourself that you're actually building this organization to the point that it is. My job and what I do in media is always looking for the edge of change. I've been doing that for over a decade, for 12 years now. It's kind of what my niche has been, and I've been pretty good at it. And I've consistently, painfully, have been years ahead of everybody, and it keeps happening. Now, what I want to tell you guys is that what I'm seeing with targeted people, it's taking on a different, it's going to be much more respected. It's going to be much more acknowledged. You're going to be taken a lot more seriously. And this is coming. And so you guys probably can already feel it now. So my recommendation is, in the process of you being prepared for a lot more of that, is to, like you said, you're redoing your website. I would say double down on making sure that your communication is professional, not, and make sure there's less things that people can use against you. All the things that a professional journalist or outlet would do, you have to do now, because you guys are going to be even more in the spotlight. And it's a really good thing, but it's also, that's what you guys are going to have to deal with. And I think things are changing. That's just my perspective. I don't know how many years it's going to take, but it's coming. So,
thank you, Sarah. I know, we feel it. Thank you so much. Honor to have you here. Hey, Mr. Lighthouse, are you going to do your presentation?
It's unfortunately, it's not letting me pull it up on the PDF slides or in the Power Open Office. So it just simply won't open.
Well, one thing that we haven't talked about, which obviously is a huge accomplishment, it's our advisory board member, Dominic. His documentary was exceptional, and it has been translated. We have a wonderful volunteer, Sean, who helped me translate it and also with Harold, helped me translate it to 10 different languages with AI. And that is definitely something that it's opening the doors for the exposure of this horrific program, because it was done with such good taste, and not everybody can make up the same story. So that is, I think, one of the good things that one of the biggest accomplishments by Targeted Justice and Dominic, whose testimonies were gathered mostly during Targeted Action 2025. So, but for that activity, he would not have had as much good material for preparing such a wonderful work of art. Anything else, Mr. Lighthouse?
No, I think that's it. We're going to do some edits and where we can input pictures, particularly like from Harold and some of the others that were unable to post their pictures and slides. We'll try to edit that and see that it gets in there.
Yes, Harold, please send it to me so I can add it, and I can also you record and add your presentation, and we can just edit it in. Well, to everybody, it's a shame. I don't think that Helen was able to connect. So what I'm going to do is see if she can record it and send it to me, and I will edit it and also into this presentation.
For Targeted Justice Australasia, One of the things we did during 2025 was develop relationships with leaders of the TI community in India, who then invited me to join and make contributions to several of their regional WhatsApp groups that they have been setting up recently. And I met Priyush, who is originally from Delhi, and we have now started an Indian support conference call, which I co-host with him from Melbourne to support and coach him with what I know. It's started small, obviously, but it started well, and I believe that with such a large population, it's going to take off very well. Secondly, what I've been mostly involved in recent months is my own targeting here, my gang stalking here in Australia, which has led me to uncover collaboration between my state police, the State Neighbourhood Watch, and the fact, the Neighbourhood Watch did tell me this, that they are funded by real estate companies that specialise in the development of community residential estates. I also exposed drug traffickers in my street and in my neighbourhood because the properties are being picked off one by one by the drug cartels, and they're putting perps in them. So they're selling the drugs, taking the drugs, and then invading our homes. And I have contacted both the Civil Aviation Authority and Air Services Australia several times. I thought it was going nowhere, but the 30 or so small aircraft that were hovering like hornets over our backyards have been reduced to, you could count them on one hand. So what I'm finding is that things are being resolved, but in an unconventional manner, not overtly. The same happened with the police when things reached a climax recently with the perps, and I had to call emergency. The police said they'd come, they didn't, but the perps, they've been restrained, very much so, so that the noise levels have been reduced by something like 90%, which is lovely. I've also written some pretty punchy letters to the estate agents that manage the surrounding rental properties where they house the perps. What I found was that a lot of the local companies have now become Australasia-wide, so that the person that I'm communicating with, who is listed as the property manager, has really no idea who lives in the property and what's going on, because there is a new department that is given that responsibility. But the letters and the communication that I've had have also made an impact around what is going on. We are making waves. Now, finally, as far as the Digital Warriors campaign that we began to raise social awareness, I joined in November 2024. From the beginning, it was very impactful. My followers were growing on a daily basis, my visibility, so much so that I decided to begin duplicating my posts on Facebook. But with the success came increased restrictions, so that my visibility recently on X had been reduced by something like 80 to 90%. And people I were in communication with disappeared from my feed, things like that. On Facebook, I was getting wrapped over the knuckles and having restrictions put on me constantly. Now, that in conjunction with the fact that we have new legislation here in Australia The first one is the age verification law, which has already been passed, so that for anybody to now access social media, they need to prove they're over 16, but that means all of us need to prove our age. And what they are also asking us is to provide biometrics. Now, there's also a new suite of hate speech laws that is being proposed, so the restrictions are just increasing. And with that, I would suggest that our future focus should be on developing more conference calls in different countries with ongoing research and local activism to continue to expose the corruption.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. You are the backbone. You are the backbone that keeps this organization going. And I just have to applaud you all, because this is not a one-man show. This is, I know. See, we're not playing on a fair game. We have all the mind control, all the obstruction, all the hacking happening. Yet we continue ahead, and that is just so valuable. So thank you, everybody, for your extraordinary effort to continue this fight.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.